Hello, class. I thought I'd take a minute to stop here in this module and let you know some of the tech changes that have taken place in my lifetime. Obviously, I'm not a young spring chicken here, but to give you a good example, when I was in college in the 80s, we didn't have laptops and internet in our rooms, in our dorms, and things like that. We had to go to the computer labs. And even then, there was not the internet like you would know it today. And I remember being able to, for the first time, I think it was probably my junior year, being able to check out a Apple computer. And it was very cool. It was the whole big giant unit along with the screen and everything. And I remember telling my friends how cool it was that you could drag things to the trash can. And that was like a big deal. It was a big deal because for the first time, that was as portable as computers got. And we could have that in our room, even if it was temporarily. And then as things progressed, there were people getting cell phones, and then there were people around us suddenly getting laptops, but they were so very expensive, thousands and thousands of dollars, not like they are now where you can get a decent one for under a grand. Even desktops were several $1,000s to get, so not a lot of people had them. And my point is, as I went into the workforce, I wasn't always in education. As I went into the workforce, learning and understanding technology was a big advantage for me because I wasn't afraid to try something new. And to me, that was a huge advantage. When I did end up starting at the University of Toledo, there wasn't the same type of technology that there is today. Everything was paper. Every form you had was paper, and in some cases it was in triplicate or 4 sheets, and it was the carbon copy, and students had to physically come in and sign things. And really, through my own innovation, I got rid of all that and I made online forms, which, at the time was such a big deal to know how to do that. I also was in charge at one point where they said, we want to scan all of our stuff. So go ahead and set that up for me. And I was an office manager at the time. So again, it was knowing technology led me to bigger and better things. Once I got into teaching and going back to school, I went back to school after my kids were grown. The changes in technology just from one year to the next was phenomenal. So we went out from my first experience in academia was everything was paper, everything was turned in. We didn't have Blackboard. So you just went to class, you turned in your papers. You registered by going and turning in cards. Now with everything online, it is so much easier. When I was in school in the 80s, people doing their dissertations and theses had to go to the library, and it was very labor intensive. I couldn't even imagine doing that. I finished my dissertation in 2019, and I could sit at my desk and have access to libraries all over the world for my research. So it was very, very different. And then even my kids, the things that I was doing and my kids were doing, they were doing a lot of advanced stuff in K through 12 at a time when in higher education we weren't doing some of those things. So I guess my point is, my transition from technology when I was in school and even when my kids were in school till now has been started out slow, and then gradually the pace picked up. You had to be a programmer in order to do websites, for example. Now you don't. Now it's very easy to do websites on your own. So I think that puts the onus on the people like yourselves, like future teachers, to go out and take those opportunities to learn technology. So you are the one providing that catalyst. You're not waiting for things to be developed. You're moving ahead on your own. And then again, in the last 10 years since I've been teaching and things like that, technology in the classroom in higher ed really hasn't changed much. I found a lot of my professors that I was taking classes from were still doing the lectures upon lectures and homework that was, all paper based. Some of them used a little bit of online, some of them did not. But my K through 12 folks, things were progressing a little bit differently. Students were getting Chromebooks, so that allowed to open up more opportunities for research, for curiosity, so that kind of thing. So the overall message to you is that if things have ramped up just in my lifetime and it started out so slow, and now things are going at a much quicker pace, it's much easier to fall behind in technology than it was in my day. You had a lot more opportunity to catch your breath and move forward, where right now technology moves at a much quicker pace. And that's a good thing, and it could be a bad thing. The bad thing is if you don't try to keep up with it, or at least stay involved in it, you will fall behind. But the good thing is that there's so much information out there that you can do classes at your own pace, and many of them are free. The trainings on YouTube are free. So there's much more opportunity to learn and connect with learning communities, like ISTE has a bunch of learning communities that if you are willing to do it, you can do it. So just think of the changes that'll happen in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. So it's important to understand that technology is not going away. You can't get around it. And if you teach like it's in the 1980s, then you're not going to be as an effective teacher as if you put in the effort to stay connected with technology. And it's fun. It's fun, it's innovative, and the students are taking much more responsibility for their own education. So as a teacher, you're much more of a facilitator than, again, back in my day when it was, I have all the knowledge as the teacher. I'm going to give it to you in a certain way, and you're going to spit it back to me. So this is much more, I'm helping you find the information, construct the information, however you learn best, whether that's visually, auditory, kinesthetic. We'll learn about those later, but I'm facilitating your learning. So it's very important that I understand and be as at least as technologically advanced as my students. So that's why we're here. That's why we're learning all about technology. And I hope it doesn't stop here.